this is it. We're getting down to the wire here for 2018, what has been one of the absolute best years for anime in recent memory. And now we start the final season. The final 3 months where we can finally start to piece together our best of year lists, our favorites, and give praise to those deserving of it, because with this season, all of this year's shows should be laid bare before us. But of course, I am getting a bit ahead of myself, because today we're not looking at the best of 2018. No. Not yet. But we are looking at what I hope to be possible contenders that are airing for this coming season. These are shows that I hope will somehow be able to rise to the top of this year's admittedly amazing crop of shows and leave this year off on an extremely good note. So without any further ado, ladies, gentlemen, and others, my name is Arcada, and today it's Glass Reflections' top anticipated anime for fall 2018. Let's jam. Starting off with some honorable mentions. This season brings back more Sword Art Online, like we needed it. Yay! More Fairy Tail with its supposed last season, which I'll only believe when it actually ends. And holy shit, Index 3. Wow. Yeah, talk about shows getting new seasons to come out of nowhere this year. Man, I can't get too excited about Index 3 though, because I still have yet to watch season 1. It's actually in shrink wrap on Blu-ray on my shelf, like it has been for the last 2 years. Maybe this, though, will give me an excuse to actually get around to watching it. But now let's just get over to the list proper, where we're going to begin with our good friends over at White Fox. Goblin Slayer is about a priestess who begins an adventuring party in a fantasy world and comes across the name drop Goblin Slayer, who is very good at one thing. I think you might be able to guess what that is. Thankfully, this series doesn't seem to be isekai, as White Fox has already graced us with Re:Zero, but this particular kind of fantasy setting is one that we have been seeing quite a bit. Now, I'm leaning heavily on the studio itself for my excitement level here. White Fox has very rarely let me down with other shows that I've enjoyed. Now, this is not to say that the staff is bad and I'm just preying on the studio. No, in fact, we have the director for Girls' Last Tour helming it, and the music will be provided by the same composer who already did the music for this year's Golden Kamuy and Comic Girls, along with working with director Ozaki on Girls' Last Tour previously. Speaking of Golden Kamuy, that's our number 2. My review on Season 1 went up just recently. Please check that out when you can. But the end of Season 1 left us in a bit of a weird spot narratively, in that we don't really have a narrative end for it, rather than the show just kind of stopped. The final episode of Season 1 felt very much like any other episode, and that really, to me, was a horrible way to end that first season. But thankfully, with this second season, we can expect it to get all of the adventure and hijinks and not so subtle gourmet content that the series has been well known for. With luck, we'll also get a narrative conclusion, or maybe an announcement of a season 3 as well. That would be great. Okay, thanks. Next one is a personal one that I don't think other people are as excited about it as I am, and I don't expect them to be. Also, with its first 4 episodes already released, it's not hard to think that I might be adding this just a bit too late. RerideD is a series that doesn't have a fully known studio behind it, but instead is writing on its staff. Now, the series itself is taking place in possibly our future, and on top of that, it deals with a guy that gets cryogenically frozen unwillingly, and also a girl that he used to know that seems to travel through time to leave him messages. Now, the interesting thing about its staff, considering that it's a series that somehow involves time travel or some kind of similar science, is that the show's director, Takuya Saito, was also the director of the best time travel anime ever made, Steins Gate. Although, that was an adaptation. This is an original series, so there's a lot more that can creatively happen because they don't have an original material, but also there's nothing to fall back on. I was even more excited to hear that Yoshitoshi Abe would be providing the original character designs. The downside is that while the original designs were done by Abe, I'm having a hard time seeing those designs in the actual show itself. The first few episodes are out already, and personally, they have given me a bit of pause, but I am hopeful enough for the series as a whole to leave it a spot on this list. Now, here's one that I don't think has been claimed by any streaming service yet, but I'm excited to watch it whenever it becomes available. SSSS.Gridman. This one will appear on a lot of people's radars for one of two reasons. Either because it is a reboot of the 90s tokusatsu series, and these shows have their dedicated fan bases that will be thrilled by this, or people will also know it because it is the latest outing by Studio Trigger, a studio name which I feel gets more and more hilarious with each new somewhat controversial series they help produce. On the one hand, I think Gridman might follow heavily in the footsteps left behind by the original, just now it's gonna have 2D animation with some more modern themes to make up for the time jump, or, you know, with Trigger being Trigger, these could just be expectations that they plan to blow completely out of the water. Either way, I expect it to be a fantastic spectacle, which doesn't necessarily mean that it'll be good. Just entertaining, which is all I'm asking for, really. Second to last on our top list for this season is another series that I'm not sure is getting streamed, but we can hope. The title is kind of long, but it roughly translates to "So many colors in the future, what a wonderful world," which I'm sure will get a nickname eventually. Hopefully one that's shorter. This series comes onto the list for 3 reasons. 1, PA Works, like White Fox, is a studio that has rarely let me down, but I can say that even when I haven't been all that entranced by their narratives, the production values that they have usually make up for it. Like, for example, in the case of a series by the name of Nagi no Asakura, a series which also shares a director with this new work. Now, as far as story, in this series we have a witch from the future who is emotionally distant and apparently has lost her sense of color. Her grandmother, feeling sorry for her, decides that the best response is to send her back in time to experience life with the grandmother's 17-year-old self. Interesting. But there's supposed to be magic, high school hijinks that hopefully won't be stale on landing, and more than likely, given the director of the series, emotions will run wild, even if they don't immediately come from the protagonist. Now this last one should come as no surprise. Yes, the 5th part of JoJo is here. Do I honestly need to explain why it's here? Even after all of this time. Like, by now, I have no doubt that all of you watching have made up your mind one way or another on JoJo as a whole. You either love it, or you tolerate it. Or maybe you have somehow escaped watching or knowing much about it despite its prevalence since Part 1 first aired several years back. But I am a fan of JoJo, if that hasn't already been made obvious by the videos that I've done on the series. And even though I will fully admit that I am not yet caught up on the series, as I'm still watching Diamond, that does not stop me from being excited for the new series. But Ark, if you're such a fan, why are you still behind? Well, the answer to that is actually extremely easy. Because I do not look forward to living in a world where I don't have another episode of JoJo to watch. It'll happen eventually, but I've been delaying it as long as possible. And now with this new season that I get to be excited for, that effort is made all the easier. So even if I don't watch it immediately as it airs this season, I can still be excited as heck for JoJo Part 5. And so there you have it. There are a few other shows that I considered adding to this list, ones involving slimes and bunny girls, but perhaps in future seasons, if I were to change the name of this list, they might get included in a more official capacity. This is mostly because I can't really say I'm anticipating them. I'm not. I'm just curious about them. We'll have to see if that curiosity leads anywhere. As far as the actual list went, though, with luck, some of these will turn out to be very successful, and possibly some shows that I missed will end up getting into the limelight and blowing us all away. So what are some of the shows that you guys are going to be watching? What did I miss that I so obviously shouldn't have? Let me know down in the comments. And a very special thank you to all of my patrons who make these videos possible and support what I do here. It is very much appreciated. And an even bigger thank you to patrons Calhoun Boy, City Yamako, Victor Ekmark, Ryfen Bonaparte, Rune Jacobson, Joshua Garcia, and Devin North for being extremely awesome. And until next time, ladies, gentlemen, and others, watch more anime and stay frosty.